Welcome, Qubers. We're excited to be here with each one of you, and I am excited about this live event today. Um, and because I'm doing this through StreamYard, I don't see everyone coming on, but I know that there's people that are joining us from all over the country, and we appreciate you being part of this journey with Qube. And I am so passionate and excited about where we're going. So, no, we're not announcing that we're selling. I saw a lot of the comments on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. So, no, we're not selling. And something I'm really serious about is expanding the mission of what we're doing. And we're going to talk a little more about that today. But really quick, last month, Sarb and I shared that the two major focuses for 2025 are one, to make the movement of money easier, okay, and faster. And then the second thing is to make the app more intuitive from the first look. So when someone comes in for their very, very first experience, all the way through adoption. And so to facilitate this, we're adding an additional sponsor bank, and that effort is in process. This will enable us to add some features that all of you have been waiting for, such as remote check deposit, Plaid integration. I'm trying to think of anything. And then I guess a new durable card that has contactless payment. And then 2026 is when I will get to adding the high yield savings and things like this. Okay. So our team is extremely busy doing all these things. So everyone's wondering what is the big announcement. And so today I am announcing that Qube Money is going to create a new market sector called mindful spending apps. And let me explain a little bit about what I mean. Okay, so before Uber existed, there were taxi cabs, and we didn't even know that we wanted to connect somebody who needed a ride, us, with a driver, right? And there was no such thing as the ride apps. But today, how many of us have used a taxi in the last 5 years? I haven't, because it's a much better experience to be able to simply go to an app, request a driver wherever I am, and them know exactly where I'm at, right? And it's created that. Likewise, before Elvis Presley, we didn't know how much we would love rock and roll. But today, rock and roll is one of the major types of music in our world, right? And then the other thing I was thinking about is before iPhones, we didn't know how much value we would get from a smartphone, right? So each one of these has a common thing that happened, and that is that Apple created a new market sector with smartphones, with the iPhone, and Uber created a new market sector with rider apps with Uber, right? And so I've been struggling ever since we started Qube. We're not really a budgeting app, right? But we're also very much different from a mobile banking app. But just like Uber has connected the driver with the rider in a beautiful experience, we've connected a mobile banking app with the budgeting app that completely transforms the spending experience and creates intentionality. And so through the work that I've done over the past 20 years in the personal finance space, I have learned that budgeting apps work for tracking expenses. But looking in the past at money that's already spent isn't the answer to changing spending behavior. Rather, seeing, well, rather making intentional choices in the moment, that's the secret, right? And so we are creating a new market sector, and I am inviting all of you to be a part of that. So instead of being a budgeting app that tracks expenses, we are a mindful spending app that changes spending behavior or creates an experience with money that people are really looking for. So how are we going to do that? That is the question. Okay. Um, I guess, and first of all, the reason why is because when money stops controlling us, we experience far less stress about money, fewer fights with loved ones, and more time for what truly matters. And it is what everyone it really is looking for with money, right? That's what they're looking for. They're not looking for something that's helping them track expenses. If you track expenses, you're already good with money. And it really is extra work just to kind of give you this feeling of, yeah, my money is doing what it wants to do. Where Qube's mission is to literally change people's feeling and change the way people feel, their confidence, and their control with money. And that's why it is a mindful spending app. So, back to how are we going to accomplish this? So, first of all, our effort in Qube to make Qube money so easy to use that it becomes the preferable way to bank. It's the way that the future wants the mobile banking experience that the future wants. So that's number one. And in 2025, that is a fundamental part of the mission that I've already talked about. But then the second thing is I'm writing a book, Spend and Grow Rich. And I'm going to use this writing this book and the research that I do around this book to connect with some of the top experts in personal finance, productivity, and leadership. And so through those connections, I am going to create a movement with influential people that will begin to understand why we need a mindful spending app sector that's completely different. And as I effectively do this, guys, what's going to happen is it is going to overtake the budgeting world, which is projected to become a $650 billion industry over the next 5 years. And it is the way. So interesting. The reason why I'm announcing this is I've been reading a book called Playing Bigger. With a group, it's written by a group of 4 guys that have been part of some companies that have absolutely become the industry leaders seemingly overnight, but over a decade, like Uber, like Google, like iPhone and iTunes. Apple has actually had multiple sectors that they've created that have become massive, massive, I guess, changes in the way that we live our lives. And I believe that Qube Money has this capability. And so, anyways, that's why you've been seeing me post videos and on all the social medias and so forth. So here's what I want to do. This is going to be a shorter meeting today, but I am inviting each one of you to be a part of this creation. And I'm going to tell you that when we convince the world that mindful spending apps is a better way, it's a better way to bank, and it's a better way to budget, that we are going to bring about a change in this world that will affect generations and generations to come because of the impact that money has in every part of our lives. Okay. And it truly excites me for in talking about this. And so here's what I would like you to do today, um, to be part of this. Okay, is I'm um, Hayden, if you'll bring up a QR code, I am doing a bunch of research in writing this book. And I guess really quick on the book, what is the book going to be about? So, Spend and Grow Rich is going to be all about identifying using real life stories, people's real life journeys that are very, very engaging to help you understand what kind of a spender you are, where that behavior came from, and how spending impacts your life, and then finally how to fall in love with the way you spend and grow rich, grow wealthy. And this book, I believe, will be a catalyst in this movement to develop a new market sector and become a category king, just like these other great companies have, because Qube Money truly is that next generation of money management, personal money management, which will then compound us into the business world, which I'm super, super excited about. Because in the same way, why don't we have the ability to give money a plan from a business perspective and then spend directly, authorize the right people to spend directly from that plan, and not to integrate directly into the accounting system and remove all of the expense tracking within a corporation. So this whole thing is the next generation of how we should be managing money. And it'll be exciting to watch how we use AI to make that happen, and really create an experience, like you said, that people love so much that it becomes the way that they want to bank. So, anyways, if you will take a picture of this QR code, there are 8 questions, and I would like you to answer those 8 questions to begin this research. And by the way, I'm interviewing my first expert. Well, actually, I interviewed my first expert this morning. Had a super engaging conversation with them, and tomorrow interviewing another. And I'll use these interviews to find the right people to come on to my podcast. The podcast is going to be called The Mindful Spending Show. And I'm also going to use the book to land keynote speeches all over the country. And I already have a booking agency with a really good friend that specializes in personal finance to book these keynote speeches. And so my plan as CEO of Qube Money is to use the influence of being a thought leader to bring millions of people to Qube and truly bring about the mission to help millions of people break the paycheck to paycheck cycle, eliminate debt, and experience more peace, joy, and freedom with money. So I've spoken enough. If you go ahead and take a picture of the QR code, and then afterwards, I'm going to take some time to answer any questions from the community. And this should only take you 5 minutes. It's not a long. It's all multiple choice with some simple answers. Okay, you guys, I actually am seeing comments, and you're like, what in the world? This is a big announcement. the thing that is critical in making this movement happen is a group of people uniting together, and that's why I believe this is a big announcement. Um, it will take an army together united, and I know that this is that I'm preaching to the choir. I know that you're part of this mission, and that's why you're here. But if we like, I am going to put forth, and I am putting forth a ton of work to make um to push, like, create this market sector. And if you jump on with me in social media and join the platform and share and invite others, we will create this movement that begins to happen. And to be frank, if we want Cube Money to become all that you want it to become and all that I want it to become, we need to become we need to become a category king. It's the way that it will become, and that will also allow us as an executive team to stay in control of the vision and the mission of Cube Money long term, which is what I've promised you and what we want to accomplish for you. So if you don't think that this is a big announcement, this, I believe, is the most important thing that we can do as a community to really change the trajectory of Cube Money. And it really is all about the belief, and it's the belief and the unity that comes in this community. So yeah, that is how I feel about it, and I am very, very, like, I've thought a lot about what needs to happen to Cube, and this is not going to be an easy lift for us, but it's going to be an essential lift, and it's going to get us to where Cube Money really wants to be. So there's some questions coming in. How will this new mission bleed over into the Cube Money app? So really, it's all about making. We've already made the vision. Like, a lot of what we've done in building Cube Money truly is a new sector. Okay. But it's going to mean that we become very, very intentional in making, like, Cube Money, like, very, very, like, automated, so that it's smart. It thinks. You'll still create your plan and you'll be able to still guide that plan. But if you want to, it'll do everything for you. It truly has intelligence to know when the money should be in the cubes, and to create the experience for the masses of people instead of for just budgeters. So that's how it's going to impact it's going to impact the app. So the market sector will come on its own with a simple, easy to use app. Plus, I think allowing other banks to plug into Cube Money would be revolutionary. And you're right. You're right. And there's some things happening right now that will allow us to do that. So who is the category king right now? There's not a category right now for mindful spending apps. It doesn't exist. So we have budgeting apps, and then we have neobank or banking apps. But there is no such thing as a mindful spending app. We will create that. You're appearing to focus on the next big thing. You will leave your customers behind. I don't think so. I mean, this is all about creating awareness. Like, so in this book, the things that it shares is, first of all, you have to create a really good app that people love. Okay. So, and we're well on our way on that. And I realize that this year we need to do a better job, and we will do a better job. But the second thing is that you need to communicate the problems with the existing categories. And the problem with the existing categories, as all of you know, is this idea of looking back at money that's already spent doesn't work. It doesn't change behavior. The very purpose of budgeting is to get our money to do what we want it to do, and it doesn't do that. And so that is a critical problem. And to fix that problem, you have to bring banking and budgeting together, like that you all know because you're part of the company, and make that experience so easy that the general population will use it. So you're exactly right. But we have to communicate the problems with it and how Qube Money will fix those problems. And by writing the book and speaking and doing all of that, that is what I will be doing. Okay, man, there's lots of people responding. So I'm hoping the sponsor bank will be a Mountain America. That's funny. Can we please add an allocation for bi-weekly so we can fund our cubes that way? So with the addition this year, that will happen. We've realized that the way we've created the app has been very much focused on budgeters, which I mean that was the point from the very beginning. But the smartness in the app will allow you to allocate that money. It'll just ask you when do you want the money to be there, and you'll be able to customize those dates. And so it's done by Qube as you set up. So it will give you that ability. So a new market sector means competition in that sector. What other companies do you see joining this sector? So obviously we don't know that right now because this is a brand new sector. Okay. It's just like when Uber started the ride apps sector, who was in it? No one was. The second to come in was Lyft, and Lyft became a really, I mean, a large player, but not nearly as large as Uber. So we don't know who's going to come into that sector right now, and time will tell. You're right. Other budgeting apps have not tried this. They only rely on slow third-party connections, and that's exactly right. And it's not real money. Consequently, they lack the power to create mindful spending. Again, it's the old budgeting apps. Man, there's so many comments coming in. I appreciate that, Justina. Says, I love the app, does fix the problem just as you say. And it really does. So now we need to make it so it's just it's easier experience to set up. So the things that we've heard, okay, from all of you is that it takes too long to get money in. And we understand that. And so that requires new technology to make that faster. We've already communicated that last time that is exactly what we're pursuing. And who we partner up as a bank is like we're being very intentional to make that capability possible. But the other thing is with envelope budgeting, there's some friction points. Okay, the friction point of putting the money in the categories in the envelopes is a friction point. The setting up the budget, first of all, is a friction point. Putting the money in the envelopes is a friction point. And then because we're doing this online, there's a lot of different ways that transactions are processed. And each one of those different types has to be accounted for. And like, for example, Amazon is a friction point and Qubeless is a friction point. And so making those things more intuitive, more like easy to set up and easier to integrate means that we do not have to have so much explaining that happens at the beginning, because there's too much of a transition at the beginning as is right now. Man, there's so much happening. I am going to take 3 more questions. There's so many that are just saying comments here. Yep, that's right. Just high yield savings is coming next year. That's correctly. Joshua Harris. Hey, did say that there are conversations about that depending on the banking they are moving towards. I actually don't know exactly what you're talking about. So, Stephen Vaughn, you asked, will you ever implement password-protected cubes, i.e., someone who's a spender and a spouse can help control that, or is that a point of contention? Um, so the answer is that yes, that is a plan to do. Um, yes, that is in our roadmap, but it's not scheduled at this point. So, just you said I might be weird, but I like allocating the queues myself, um, and you will be able to do that. So the ability to allocate with our existing allocation screen will still be available, but we've got to think about the masses and how that they want to experience the app, and most of them want the app to do a lot of the thinking for them. They just set it up and then it just runs for them. Yeah, automating deposits through direct deposit is by far the easiest. That's very true. Something I want to address actually that I think is important for the community to understand is with auto allocations, the new planning screen, that actually introduced a lot of complexity. We've heard that. And to be honest, I wish we would have made some different moves on that last year. So, just to clear things up, if you are somebody that budgets on a monthly basis, like you allocate all of your budgets on the first day of the month, auto allocations works really well. And that's what I do, and I love it. And I just wake up on the first, and my money's all allocated, and I just go on with using Qube to manage my money throughout the month. Both my wife and I, we love it. If you don't do that, it actually doesn't work, and I would recommend you don't use it and go back to like setting up recurring transfers for your cubes or using the allocation screen when you want to make those transfers. So if you budget weekly, bi-monthly, or every 2 weeks, I strongly recommend you do not use the auto allocations and you use recurring transfers like you did before. So when will mobile deposit come? Just you asked. It is going to come. So that has to come after the bank transfer. Okay. So with the new sponsor bank, that's when remote check deposit will come, and I am projecting that that will come in late third quarter, fourth quarter. So what it means to create a new sector is to identify. I mean, maybe better than try to answer that is to before iTunes was there digital music, a digital music store and a digital music industry, there wasn't. And so Apple created that sector, and through iPods and the iTunes store, they've created a whole new sector. Before the iPhone, there wasn't a smartphone. We didn't even know we wanted that. We didn't even know what that would do for us. Um, Before Uber, there wasn't ride apps. They didn't exist. There were taxi cabs that you called, or you waved down, right? Um, and we didn't even know that that's something we wanted. Before Airbnb, there wasn't this ability to rent your home, and for you to rent someone else's home. All there were hotels, right? And so these are market sectors that were created by entrepreneurs that completely changed the way we experience life. Um, and as I've read this book, Playing Bigger, excuse me, I've realized that we are already well on our way to creating a new market sector with a mindful spending app because it doesn't exist. And it needs to exist. It is a much, much better way. And all of you, I understand you're already with us, but the world needs to understand, and it will change people's lives. And it takes a lot of work because you're creating something new. But those companies that do that are the ones that become like they're the ones that impact society. If you look at the others, there's so much noise, there's so much communication coming to us that if you're playing an existing sector, it's super difficult to make a very big splash, make a very big name. So it's exciting and it's a ton of responsibility, but it's the way forward, you guys. It is the way forward for Qube Money to achieve its mission and for us to create really the product that all of you want. And it's changed. Like, I don't know about you guys, but it is completely changing the way our internal team is thinking and believing about what we can do and where we're going. So, okay, so an ETA on Plaid, that also, guys, is going to happen after the bank transfer. So last time we talked about that we expect to begin onboarding new customers with the new sponsor bank in third quarter. So that's when that's expected to happen. And after that, we'll already be integrating and working on a sprint to integrate Plaid. Because ultimately Plaid is going to be the means by which when somebody new comes in, they'll be able to connect into their existing credit cards and bank. And so then we'll be able to say, oh, here's how much they're spending on all their bills. And it will just bring in their bill cubes, due dates, and budgets for them so that they won't have to create those manually. So that's the kind of automation I'm talking about, and that requires a Plaid integration to be able to do that. So I think I've already answered that. Okay. I will take one more question, okay, before we close, and I'm excited to move forward on this, guys. And if you've looked, we're already moving in this direction. I am doing a lot of work to create this communication. So, sorry, excuse me. Forgot to silence my phone. Hey, so I'm going to talk one more. The question is what about credit card points? And let me just hit that really quick, you guys. So really, when we're looking at credit card points, we're looking at completely the wrong picture. I mean, spending to get points and or just earning points from our spending, if that is our focus, we all know that you can't spend with a credit card in today's world and have intentionality. It doesn't exist. Okay? So, do you want to get your money right and achieve your goals, or do you want to earn points? You can't do both. And from the research that we're doing inside with our users, people are finding that they're saving $500 to $1,000 per month by using Qube, by being all in and fully adopted. That versus earning $50 to $100 in points and not saving the 500 to 1,000. That's really, so you're talking about a 10x difference in your wealth. Points versus mindful spending. And I mean, we all have that choice, but if we want to get our money to do what we want it to do, then it comes down to being intentional with spending decisions. And that is done through mindful spending apps, which Qube Money is. So I hope that helps, but like, it really is, we can be looking at whatever picture or telling us ourselves whatever story we want to in life. But if we want money to behave, then it comes down to knowing what our money's for and spending in line with that. And we all, like everyone on this call who are Qube Money users, understand that. And it's a way different impact than credit card rewards, because I've done that. So with that, I really appreciate you joining me today. And again, I'm inviting you to join this effort to create a new market sector called mindful spending apps. As you're explaining this to friends and family, it truly is what they want. They just don't know it. And then on our side, I will communicate that. And then on our side, our goal is to make the app so easy and so like effective that it does exactly, people want to bank this way. And together doing those two things, we will build a new market sector that will change the world. So with that, thank you very much. Have a great day.